Hello everyone, welcome to the Pros and Cons, where we discuss the positives and the negatives from the most recent game from Manchester United. Lots of things to be happy about last night. I'm very excited to get into this one, so make sure you smash a like on the video and get involved in the comments section. We're going to start with one or two nitpicking negatives, but then we're going to get into the good stuff, so make sure you stick around and, like I said, get involved in the comments section. Let's go. Is Lissandro out until the end of the season? Gutted. We was all panicking in the last game when he went down. He came, we took off as a precaution. Started this game, we're like, for you, woo! That was a close one. This time it looks like a bad one. The way he landed on his knee, the way he looked when he landed, when he was holding it. Eric Ten Hag's come out after the game and said that it looks like a bad one, doesn't look great, which could mean end of the season, could mean a couple of months. At the minimum, especially if it's like ligament damage, because like I said, he was holding his knee, so I don't know if is it ACL or I'm not a fucking doctor, I don't know, but you don't have to be a doctor to understand the point that he did not look good whatsoever. And if people don't understand his importance to this team, they don't get him as a player. They really, really don't. The way he reads a game, his aggression, the way he plays out from the back, everything he brings to this team, in my opinion, he's our most important player. So if he's out again until the end of the season, or at least for a couple of months, he's nearly missed a full season with one of our most integral players, and that has to be a negative. Heartbreaking. We still get caught way too easy on transition. I think focus and organisation for us has been a problem all season. We need to be tighter, especially in the bigger games. Maguire coming on, I thought was okay for the majority, but even he got caught out a couple of times. Maybe that is a little bit of rustiness. And like I said, it's okay in these type of games, but when you start playing the big boys and they've got a killer up top, they will absolutely punish you. So yes, we won 3-0, but when you analyse the game as the full 90 minutes, you see little individual errors, you see lack of communication in certain points, people not touching tight, people not marking properly and doing the job. They need to be really polished out of the game to get that full kind of complete performance, and we're not there just yet. That was all right. Usually there's about 8 negatives to get through. Now we're going to talk about the positives. We have some sensational young talent. Højlund, Mainoo and Garnacho. Let's just appreciate this picture. Soak it up, because they are superstars in the making. All of them played really, really well today. Sometimes I could be Mainoo's performance might go unnoticed because of the goal scorers, but he was still doing his thing today in absolute just plays like he's got a glass of wine in his hand. He looks so comfortable next to Casemiro now. Højlund's goal took it really, really well on his weak foot, which we haven't seen much of. People were kind of asking for that, saying he's a little bit one-footed, but he absolutely rifled it from outside the box. And I love that he's scoring all different kind of goals. Garnacho in the first half actually was a little bit below par. I was getting a little bit irritated with him. I was maybe looking to the bench for an Ahmad. I actually put in the chat that Ahmad would be perfect in this game to break it down, because Garnacho's kind of just running into tight spaces and not getting what he should out of the game. But he switched his game up a little bit in the second half. Got a goal, which obviously the first one was deflected, but you've got to be in the raffle to win. You've got to buy a ticket to win the raffle, whatever the fuck they say. And his second goal was decent as well. So Garnacho, Højlund, these youngsters are really starting to show up now. And actually, I think that takes the pressure off a couple of the others as well. You look at Marcus Rashford, the way he's been under so much pressure under the recent years, because everyone looks to him to go get the goals. Because when he sets an example like he did last season, there's an expectation, and rightfully so. But these players coming in now ease that pressure. We've won a game, we've scored a couple of goals, we've kept a clean sheet. Fantastic. If we nurture these stars, they are going to be top players for this club for a long time. So hopefully this continues, because they are doing really, really well at the moment. Is Casemiro back to his best? A lot of people wrote him off at the start of the season. When they watched the Spurs game, the Wolves game, like the first kind of month in August, it was like, everyone was saying it. Even the media was saying it. What a waste of a signing, this, that, Gary Neville saying, stupid wages. And maybe it was stupid wages. Maybe we paid too much or whatever people want to say. He's still an important player, though. He's still a very, very good player. I think he went unnoticed yesterday, and I mentioned it in the match reaction because I thought no one kind of picked up on it, and I was like, Casemiro had a really, really good game. Sometimes his risky passes don't pay off, but he's the one who makes shit happen. The first time, when you play it into him on the half turn and he's got players around him, he'll just scoop it over to the winger. And you've seen that multiple times with Garnacho. He reads the game well. The involvement he had in, was it Højlund's goal? where, you know, they played a pass into, I can't remember who it was in the midfield, and Casemiro read it, pinched it off him, played it into Højlund, bang, scores a goal. And even if you look at his numbers, assist-wise, goals-wise, like, he's up there. He was our best player last season, and he's still an important player now. I think the system at the start of the season kind of hindered him, but he looks, like I said with Mainu equally, he looks settled, and he's the best person to mentor Kobe Mainu. Positional play, football intelligence, risky passing, it happens, but he's creative, and he's the perfect partner. So I was happy with Casemiro's performance. A winning run. This is what it feels like. Strange, isn't it? We haven't lost since the Nottingham Forest game last year. We're starting to gather momentum now and put confidence in the team. And if we can keep everybody fit and have a consistent 11, which may not happen because of the injury to Lissandro, and we only have to make a couple of tweaks here or there. We don't have to fully dismantle the squad and start picking players and playing Amrabat at left back and just doing an absolute madness. Then we may be okay. But as I've already mentioned, big tests are to come. We've still got a big test in Aston Villa. So let's see what happens. But this run so far, I mean, the last time we lost, like I said, Forest game, but a couple of them have been easy games. You played Newport, you played Wigan. Like, let's start getting some wins against the big teams. Or even if you draw against the big teams, not necessarily the worst thing in the world. But let's just go on a run now. Let's keep the high level where it's at, and try get back into what our targets were at the start of the season, which was, I don't know, top 4 finish and a cup. Partnerships and connection. Now, anyone who's watched this channel for a while or watches it on a regular basis, whatever it is, or even if you just watch pros and cons, we've spoken about the disconnect in this 11 for a long time, and it plays into everything I've just been speaking about. We look at this team now, and it looks completely different. Not just because of the players that have come in, but the partnerships that are now in place. You're looking at the wingers and they're starting to find the striker. Like, you can see their intent. Rather than going for goal and having that selfish... Both Rashford and Garnacho must have had it drilled into him, because they're starting to find the number 9 now. And it's took a while. Rashford has Luke Shaw behind him. They know their chemistry and they know their patterns. Overlap is killing each team. Past 2 games we've seen that. Casemiro with Kobe Mainu have already touched on. They look like a settled partnership already. Varane and Lissandro, one of the best partnerships in the league, but we can't keep them both fit at the same time for 2 months straight. So that's a problem. And Dalot on his preferred side seems to be progressing and getting that number 1 spot now, because he was sensational, a contender for man of the match yesterday. So we're looking at a lot of green lights, a lot of connection across the pitch, partnerships, and they're starting to blossom. Another positive. And we kept a clean sheet. Get on this, the first clean sheet in the league since Everton in November. And I think Onana made a couple of decent saves as well. He's been getting pelters over the past couple of months, and rightfully so, because of the mistakes he's making. In the Wolves game, he came to claim a cross. Leach had to clear it off the line. Like, he hasn't been great at all. But you call a spade, He was decent last night. I was looking at our stats. So all season, do you know how many goals we've conceded? You tell me. How many goals do you think we've conceded this season? No comps. 52 goals. 50, that's a lot of goals to ship in. A lot. And they're not all necessarily against the top teams, Conceded a lot against Galatasaray, Copenhagen, Brighton. Like, we've conceded a lot of fucking goals, and that needs to tighten up. We need a lot more of these kind of clean sheets if we're to mount any kind of challenge for Europe, FA Cup, whatever it is, especially away from home. So the more clean sheets, the better, the more chance we have of winning, obviously. Conclusion. Look, I keep mentioning things like momentum, confidence, stability, and it is because we have lacked that all season, and it's important to keep this vibe, keep this atmosphere and positivity for as long as we can, and see where the season takes us. Aston Villa is going to be the real test. They'll punish you. If you make mistakes, they'll absolutely kill you. You see what they did to Sheffield. With all due respect, we're not Sheffield, but they're back on it. They wanted a reaction after the Newcastle game, and they will be ready for us. And especially because we beat them at Old Trafford, they'll want to get their, kind of their own back on us. So that's going to be a real test. But if we lose, it feels like these 2 games now that you're looking at that we've just won, it feels like, well, it's a setback already, because we are currently 8 points behind Aston Villa, who are in 4th, right? If we lose that game, we go 11 points behind him. And to get 11 points back in a season is tough, especially with the form that Villa have had at home. So you see my point now. Like, we have to go win that game, and then we can start, talking about Europe and FA Cup and and getting maybe a little bit excited for the season. But until we get past that game, then I feel like I can really assess it. Do you know what I mean? But let me know how you feel heading into that game in particular. What were your pros and cons for this game against West Ham last night, and what changes would you make for the next one? I hope you've enjoyed this analysis. Please do leave a like in the video if you have enjoyed it, and subscribe to Real Red Talk if you're new to the channel. Yeah? Enjoy the rest of your week, guys. We'll see you shortly.